Get ready for the juiciest episode of Kevjet, the podcast yet. We have the incredible James Cowe, an OnlyFans content creator who has taken the world by storm. Join us as he shares his inspiring journey from struggling healthcare assistant to financial freedom through his captivating content.
The story got picked up because it was quite a ballsy move that I made, I guess.
It was a huge move.
And it got picked up in the news and it just went viral. And from that, it just generated so much money that my mental health just went like, this can't be real, not all doom and gloom. As much as it is a beautiful job and, you know, it is hard work. You know, I don't want to be a nurse, so what am I going to do? I was just tired at the end. I thought, no, like I was kind of burnt out and I was like...
You'll get an exclusive glimpse into the life of an OnlyFans creator.
And sort of fantasizing about the idea of OnlyFans whilst being a healthcare assistant, but also thinking, what's the likelihood that would work out for me? And then I think I had a bottle of wine after a shift one night. And I was like, yeah, actually I am. I'm going to try it. It's been really interesting watching people's reactions. And I really enjoy it sometimes, even now when I meet people, if they don't know, you know, and they're like, what do you do? And I just love watching the reaction because I'm just so blunt. I just go, I just take my clothes off. And they're like, what?
Brace yourselves for jaw-dropping stories about mind-boggling gifts and outrageous subscriber requests that will leave you in awe.
You're like, tell me the craziest, and I'm telling you all like the scariest.
Don't miss out on this unforgettable episode that will have you hooked from start to finish.
Way too many of my friends have seen things they do not want to see.
Welcome, James, to Kevjet, the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
I've been looking forward to this conversation for a little while. We've made contact on socials, and I'm very interested in having this conversation.
Oh, no, I really appreciate you having me on. I've been looking forward to it myself.
Good stuff. So, James, tell us a little bit about yourself, because you've come from the NHS, is that right?
So I wasn't actually working in the NHS, and
Okay.
one of the articles sort of span it out like that. So it kind of sounded like it. I think from one of the news sort of, whoever put it out basically sort of exaggerated that part that was with the NHS, because I think it was at the time the 1% pay rise came out.
Right.
So the best way to explain it was, I mean, I was super honest with my story. I think from their point of view, it was at the same time when Boris came out and said, you know, all NHS staff get a 1% pay rise. And it was kind of disgusting at the time because everyone was sort of working so hard. I mean, I was working in a care home, which is private healthcare,
Right.
which is separate. But I'm sure you understand, you know, our pay sort of does mimic or follow the NHS sort of afterwards.
Certainly does.
It sort of always, but it balances out in the end to be similar pay, unless you're super qualified and then you get paid way more in private. But sort of the lower end as healthcare assistants, you know, whenever they got a small pay rise, we would get it sort of shortly after. It's just sort of, you know, it's down to the private company, but that's how it works for us. So that's the best way to describe why it might have been confusing, because I get a lot of people come up to me and they're like, oh, you were that doctor? And I'm like, no. I was never a doctor. And then some people come up to me and they're like, oh, you're the nurse. And I'm like, no, I was just a healthcare assistant.
I was having this conversation today with some of the nurses I work with, and because that's my 9 to 5. And they all said the same thing. And they said, oh, that nurse that was on TV. So you've clarified it with us, which I'm thankful for.
Yeah, no, I really wanted to get that point across because I feel that, it was sort of swayed the other way. And I think because they had a motive, because they wanted to push that. I mean, but whatever, I'm just glad I could clear that up.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So just walk me through this whole change of career, because how do you go from being a carer? Was it a dementia ward you were working on?
Yeah, so how I started was my nan, actually, my step-nan, so my granddad's wife, who has been in the family for years. We're quite a close family. And she bought a care home when I was, really young. And then sort of when I left school and went to college, I was studying social media. And just for sort of part-time work, this is sort of how I fell into care. Part-time work, I just thought, I could work for my nan. She owns a very small residential care home. I'll go and work for her. And, there's quite a lot of nurses in the family. So that was always sort of my career path. That's sort of what I wanted to do. So even though I was studying social media, after working for like a year or so with my nan, I sort of thought, oh, no, I'm actually going to, sort of switch what I've been studying sort of from digital marketing to nursing. So that's what I was going to go to uni and do. So I ended up going into full-time work, into care work, after I sort of finished college, sort of to get a bit of experience before I did go properly into uni. Worked there for a bit. Working for families, really difficult after a while. I mean, as amazing as it is, in that setting, it's such a high-pressure job, as you know. I just thought I will, try a few other places. So I moved to loads of different, all sort of elderly patients, all dementia or some challenging behaviour as well. So anywhere from sort of 40 to, 100 I've sort of worked with. But
and that can be really exhausting.
Yeah, so a lot of challenging behaviour, a lot of dementia patients. And yeah, that's basically what I did for 6 years.
Wow.
All in different homes or different places and different roles. But essentially that's what, I was doing for that time, and sort of always, ready to progress to be a nurse. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I think, but towards the end of those 6 years, sort of talking to my family that, at retirement age in nursing, and some of my friends that I'd met alongside whilst I was working, really sort of triggered me in like, is this really what I want to do? I'm kind of tired after these 6 years.
And it's a commitment.
Yeah. And I know all nursing's so different, and, it's not all like dementia, and it's not all doom and gloom, as much as it is a beautiful job and, it is hard work. I was just tired at the end. I thought, no, like I was kind of burnt out, and I was like, I don't want to be a nurse. So what am I going to do? So I was sort of looking at all my options, all my avenues, trying to work out, what's the next step for me? What's going to work? And then I saw loads of people doing OnlyFans and seeing how much money they were making. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so poor. I'm literally so skint. That looks amazing. And sort of fantasizing about the idea of OnlyFans whilst being a healthcare assistant, but also thinking, what's the likelihood that would work out for me? Like, is this just a one-off story?
Right.
But I sort of kind of had this stubborn attitude. It was like, well, if they're doing it, then I can do it. It's not all about looks, surely, because some of these people were like horrifying. God, this is taking a really honest dark turn, this podcast.
Well, I mean, there's somebody out there for everybody. That's what they say.
Well, exactly, yeah. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, and that's the world we live in. And so that's where I got to. And I was like, oh God, no, I could never do that. Like, it's sort of one of those things that if you decide to do it, you've sort of made your bed and you've got to, stick with it. So it was a decision that I knew if I was going to do it, I had to go all in. And then I thought, am I that desperate to do that? And then I think I had a bottle of wine after a shift one night, and I was like, yeah, Yeah, actually, I am. I'm going to try it.
Have you ever looked back at your first post compared to what it was now?
My first post
Like
in what, sorry?
Your first. Have you ever looked back at your first OnlyFans post and thought, "Oh gosh,
No. I actually really hate looking at my OnlyFans content.
okay."
Yeah, I don't like looking back. So there's probably some really hideous stuff on there.
Well, it's obviously worked, whatever it was.
Yeah. I think, do you know what, with OnlyFans, I think it's just about if you're aggressively consistent, you will find people that like your stuff, you know? And the amazing thing about it is you can create whatever you want to create, and not everyone has to like it or no one can like it, but it's just enjoying what you're creating, I found, is the most important place to be.
And I guess people have to subscribe to it. So obviously the people that are subscribing to it are the people who are enjoying it. So you have a great fan base built.
Yeah, and I've been really lucky, and I think a lot of that's been down to just oversharing, probably. But I'm very grateful. I've been very lucky, and this story's just, it's been really wild, and it's just not what I expected at all.
Do you feel that I saw a post on Instagram, obviously, just before we came on to the show, that you posted your 600th post. Is that your 600th post on Instagram or on OnlyFans?
Oh, on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, has that been like a great form of sort of free adverts?
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Join us each week on the Well Beyond Medicine podcast as we explore the 80% of child health impacts that occur outside the doctor's office. Listen and subscribe at nemourswellbeyond.org, where you'll hear pediatric experts, researchers, and policymakers from around the world discussing ways they are revolutionizing children's health. I'm your host, Carol Vassar. Let's go.
Let's go.
Oh, Instagram, sorry.
Yeah.
Has it been a great form of free adverts?
Yeah. Is it a great platform for getting people to go over and subscribe and follow you on OnlyFans?
100%. So Instagram's always been sort of my main outlet. To be honest, my main outlet to bring new subscribers in. Same as TikTok and Twitter. They all sort of work together to, find an audience, and that's sort of where I operate most of the time. I spend lots of time creating content for OnlyFans, but then I would say 70% of my time, so most of my time, is actually on the other platforms finding new people.
Right.
It's just working with the platforms to see what people are interested in, adapting your content continually. And just assessing it as you post it, sort of, and seeing how it performs. It's just, that's the full-time job, I guess. And I'm always seeing growth. You also lose people, which you sort of accept. Okay. I think, with all growth, you always have loss.
That's right.
But it's fine because, if you can't please everyone, that's not my job. My job is just to, operate within the lane that I'm in.
Sure. So I'm just trying to put myself into your shoes. You sign up to OnlyFans and you say, you've had your bottle of wine and you say, I'm going to do this. So to people out there, because today I've had a few people who are, who I work with, and I was saying we were going to have this interview, and they say, what is OnlyFans? So they don't even know what it is. So I tried to describe it, obviously. And so they kind of give you this look, but you can tell they're going to go and Google it. So once you sign up, what's the process of getting started and getting going? And then the next part of that question is, how soon until you saw that it was going to be a success?
So, I mean, you sign up like any other social media platforms. You sign up just the same as you would with Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. It's exactly the same. The only difference between OnlyFans and all the social media platforms is that OnlyFans has a paywall. And with that paywall, it's almost like if you're on Instagram and you're going to click on your friend's Instagram account on the Instagram app, if you click on your friend's account straight away, it's asking for you to pay. It's all behind a paywall. All of that content that the creator you're trying to access, e.g. your friend or whoever, is behind that wall. And once you get access to it, it works very much like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so, obviously once you've paid, you get access to whatever. And there's sort of no guideline or set content that you have to create on OnlyFans. It's your choice what you do, but obviously mine is quite obviously sort of sexually explicit, solo content. That's sort of what I create. But every creator is different, and it's essentially just a paywall, and that's sort of the job.
Yeah. So, is it exhausting or is it fun?
It's like any job. It's like any. I think the best way to explain it, it's like any self-employed job. At the beginning, it was wild and it was crazy, and I'm 3 years in now. And being this far in now, it's like, okay, I have a routine. It's it's a full-time job. And I still enjoy it. But to enjoy any job, you have to have boundaries, you have to have schedules, and you have to, be creating stuff you want to create to make it last. Otherwise, we'd all quit our jobs.
Yeah, of course.
So that's the biggest battle, I guess, is just making sure that I still find it fun and that I still enjoy it. Is so, that's sort of what I try and navigate towards.
So
sort of where I'm.
Sure. So with photos and videos, so do you take all your own photos and videos, or like, do you have help, or how does that work? Do you collaborate?
Yeah, so I'd say 80% of the time I take everything myself.
Okay.
Just with a tripod or different lights, or 80% of it. Some of my stuff, a lot of my Instagram reels, I'll just say to a friend, like, can you just grab this for me for like 2 seconds? And I'm pretty sure they all hate me by now, because way too many of my friends have seen things they do not want to see.
Oversharing.
Yeah, but they're so cool and they're so helpful. I think they get it, and I've been really lucky. I even said, sort of stupidly in an interview, I was like, my mum's helped me a lot with filming some of my Instagram reels, which can be like on the suggestive side, but obviously nothing sort of weird or too explicit, but just kind of suggestive. And like, it got sort of sold as like this, oh my God, he's like got his mum filming his X-rated content. And it's just like, no, that's definitely not it.
I think I did read that, actually.
Yeah. So yeah,
so that's actually a good question. So you're obviously open and honest with everybody about this. So what do your friends and family say?
Yeah, so like you just said, I think that's the key to lasting. I think is just, if I hadn't told anyone, I would have lasted 5 minutes, because it's just way too much of a demanding job anyway to not have support from your family and friends, I think.
Sure.
But on top of that,
so you're open and honest with your family and friends about that. So what are all their opinions about that, about your everyday job?
Yeah, so they're really cool with it. I think sometimes they think that, oh, I wish you sort of had a normal job, because at times it is, sometimes I do have like 14-hour days.
Sure.
Longer shifts than what I was working before. And I think sometimes they see that it can stress me out sometimes. And they're like, oh, I wish you just had like a normal job. But I think...
but they're all very supportive.
Yeah. I think like, as much as it was sort of glamorized me leaving healthcare and stuff and all that. This is something I did want to do. And they've been amazing, to be honest. Yeah, really great support. And, they know me and they know it's not anything sinister. And I think that sex work does have such a sinister badge put over it, especially by conservatives and a lot of the people that I'm around. And for them to be so understanding is unusual, because they're the sort of people that would normally turn their nose up at people who do stuff like that. So it's been really interesting watching people's reactions. And I really enjoy it sometimes, even now when I meet people, if they don't know, and they're like, what do you do? And I just love watching the reaction, because I'm just so blunt. I just go, oh, I just take my clothes off. And they're like, what?
Yeah, I get paid for it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because why should we have shame? Anyone who does this job or is even thinking about it, we literally are only here once. And, who is anyone to judge what anyone does for work?
That's right. And so leading into that, do you think it's something that's sustainable?
OnlyFans in general as a job?
Yeah, or yeah. Let's go with that.
Yeah, so over the last 3 years, I said to myself when I started this, the day I earn less money than what I was doing in the job that when I left is the day I need to sort of pack up and leave OnlyFans. Or, sort of the day I earn a penny less than that is when I stop, because obviously it's not viable. And, to be so open and sharing your body in that way, to not be paid more than what I was doing before would just seem insane.
Yeah, that's a great answer, to be honest.
Yeah, so that's sort of how I've always looked at it. And luckily, I haven't fell below that. It's been way, way above, which I'm grateful for. So it's been consistent and sustainable for the last 3 years. Whether it will be for the next 3 years, how long is a bit of string?
Exactly.
It's the same as sort of any self-employed job. I think we're all just, sort of navigating our way. And I think with sex work, really importantly, is that if you're a sex worker of any kind, whether that's solo or collaborative, however, I think that, it's as sustainable as long as you still want to do it. I think not necessarily just on OnlyFans, there will be other platforms, and there's loads of exciting stuff happening with, like the Apple Vision Pro and all this new AI and AR stuff coming out. There will be new platforms coming out in the next sort of 5-10 years. So our jobs ultimately will be completely different. So as long as all the creators still want to do it, you'll just adapt and move to a different place. And the ones that don't want to. And I think a lot of people like to put this stigma that says that you stop doing it because you're too old, or you stop doing it because you're not good looking enough anymore, or like everyone got bored of you. But the real answer is they stopped doing it because they just didn't want to do it. And I think that it's sort of like that bullying that people like to put on sex workers, is that you're past your sell by date, kind of, that age-old joke, and like to make fun of. But I don't think that's true. I just think it's just how you adapt and how you market yourself, because it's just marketing a product. That's essentially how I see it.
Yeah. And you've totally described it in such a positive way when you hear a lot of negative about it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. I just think, it's just frustrating to see so many people sort of get bullied in that way, when it's just like, no.
Yeah. And to be honest, an OnlyFans is so much safer than a lot of other options. And so I think that's what people tend to think of right away when they talk about sex workers. They think about all the like the dangerous thing side to it. But yeah, that was actually quite enlightening so far. So thank you I'm so glad that I've had you so far on as a guest. My next question is, can you describe to me a day in the life of an OnlyFans creator?
A day in the life. So, I mean, it just depends. It depends sort of what sort of ideas I've picked out, a lot of the time. So I'll have days where I just trawl through Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and I'm just finding ideas that I think I'd be good at, or different stuff that I think that, would suit me as with what I create, and just sort of a bit like a Pinterest mood board, I guess. I'm always trying to piece together things all the time, sort of in my notes, writing down ideas.
Do you have fans, or do you call them fans, first of all? It's called OnlyFans, so
yeah, subscribers.
Okay. Do you
or
take
fan? Yeah, whichever.
Have you, and is it something that you would consider doing, is collaborating with other OnlyFans content creators?
I have dabbled in that. So I've done like one or two collaborations. Very minimal, sort of just to see how I felt, and just to, in a creative way, just see where it took me. I mean, I enjoyed the ones that I did, but it's not something that I could see myself doing regularly.
Right.
So that's sort of where I'm at with that. I think it's sort of, the best way to describe it is probably 90% solo content, 10% collaborative content, just enough so that there's some for people who only really like that style of content.
Sure.
There's just enough of it to be acceptable. But, like I said before, you can't please everyone. You're always going to get those people, oh, where the fuck are the collabs?
Exactly.
And all that kind of shit. But well, unsubscribe then.
Yeah. You're in the wrong place. Do you ever feel exploited at all?
I wouldn't say so, because it's all been my choice. So
you have control. You have 100% control, don't you?
Yeah, no one's telling me what to do, and no one's telling me what to create. So how can I be what if I exploit myself? I mean, how can you do that?
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I think it would be nuts to say that. I just think that it's just been a massive roller coaster. Like, it wasn't in my first month of starting OnlyFans, the story got picked up because it was quite a ballsy move that I made, I guess.
It was a huge move.
And it got picked up in the news, and it just went viral. And from that, it just generated so much money that my mental health just went like, this can't be real. Like, this is
that's my next question is, how has it affected your mental health, and what do you do to keep it at bay?
I mean, at the beginning, because it was more shock, because it was just all like such over a bottle of wine, blasé, like, let's see how this goes. And then it just ramped from like 0 to 1,000 miles per hour, probably in 2 days.
Wow.
And after the 2 days, I walked in and quit my job. I started crying in my manager's office. I walked in, I can remember, I sort of rang the doorbell, went in, and I was like, guys, can I talk to you for a sec? And they were like, can we give you like 5 minutes? And I was like, no, like, I really want to talk to you now. And I just started crying in front of sort of my manager and deputy manager, because I was just like, what am I doing? It doesn't feel real. Like, none of this feels real. And I was just like, I'm going and I'm not coming back, because I sort of knew that I would probably be sacked or something if I didn't leave, because
of course. Yeah, that's the other angle.
Job.
That's right.
And such a personal job, and you can't expect families to feel comfortable around you. I mean, that's my personal view. So that's why I left before. It was like, well, I knew the decision I made. So they were like, are you not going to write your notice? And I was like, I can't. And they're like, why? And I was like, I'm not going to tell you, but you'll probably find out soon. And they're like, what is it? And I was like, I can't tell you. I'm not going to tell you, but it's done really well. And I'm really sorry. I'm gutted. And I said that I was just like, thank you so much for all your support. And I feel awful, but.
And that was only a few days in.
That was 2 days in, because what I did was I put the link on my Instagram bio, and I'd been sharing stories and Instagram content all the way through the pandemic with my ex-partner, sort of, just general content like, hi guys, this is what I'm doing today. Oh, I'm doing a 12-hour today. Just sharing content all the time. So people got to know me. And I put the link out, and within the first 2 days, I made I can't remember exactly, so I won't quote it, but it was like a month's salary, probably in the first 2 days, around a month's salary, if not more. And that's when I knew. I thought, if I've done that in 2 days, then there's, I've got a month to find a job, essentially. That's how I saw it. I've just done what I would have earned. So I was like, I can go now and then work out what I'm going to do if this doesn't work out. But let's just see day by day. And then I quit. And then I did a TikTok and an Instagram story of me like, guys, I've just walked out of my job, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, it just blew up and just went crazy.
And that's 3 years ago, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it feels like yesterday. I don't know where those 3 years have gone because I've been talking about the same content every fucking day. It's like my life hasn't moved on.
But how has your life changed, though? Like, how is your life completely different?
Yeah, I mean, oh God, I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest with you. It's been wild. Some of the stuff I've been able to do that I just never would have been able to afford to do, or just dream of doing. So just like some experiences and that feeling you have when I always had this thing when I was a healthcare assistant. I was always in debt and maxed out, and I never had any money. And like when you're at a bar and you're like looking at your like banking app, like, how much money do I have left? Like, do I have enough for this drink? It was like I was a uni student for those 6 years whilst I was working as a healthcare assistant, because it was just like never had any money, useless with money. And to like this feeling of like always having money in your bank account and not having to have that fear or anxiety of, I can't afford this. Like not having to check the balance before you buy things was wild to me. It was like, it was just like, how the fuck has this happened? This is so nice. I don't want this to stop.
Have you taken like financial investment advice?
I mean, so far, no. I've sort of been doing that myself, sort of between me and my parents.
Sure.
Sort of, they've developed a few properties themselves and sort of looking into, getting a property and doing them up and stuff. That's sort of how they made their money. That's sort of where I'm going to go with mine, because my dad works in construction, which is really useful.
Definitely.
Thank God, bless him. But yeah. So yeah, it's just sort of up until now. So yeah.
Cool. Do you have any big plans? Anything planned for the future as a creator? Do you have anything in the back of your mind saying, "Oh, I hope to do this in this amount of time," and or I have this great idea and I think it will be a great thing?
I mean, at the moment, I have a few things that I can't. I'm not allowed to talk about just yet. Sure. But I hope that they come to be whatever they're meant to be.
Okay.
And so a few things I'm really excited about, sort of, and always coming up with other ideas as well. But long term, so that's short term, what I'm talking about there.
Okay.
Longer term, what I'm really hoping for is a huge shake up with this whole AI thing and VR. And I'm really nervous and excited to see what happens with Apple Vision Pro, the Quest, like the Meta headsets and all these headsets, and how they're going to sort of come into our lives and how we're going to interact with them. And then my job as a creator, what will I become in this new VR world? I think that's really exciting and sort of something that I want to really double down and focus on.
Okay.
Because I think, you know, not in the imminent future, but I think long term and looking at longevity, it would be really dim of me not to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's a huge hot topic, isn't it, right now, just in the film industry. So I can imagine how it would affect your type of work. And if you look online, I mean, there's loads of AI things that are coming out right now. And so, yeah, I think it's probably the future.
Yeah. And if we look at how, you know, phones have changed our lives, you know, without going too deep into this different conversation, you know, with how phones have changed our lives and given everyone a professional quality camera, and what people have done with them and managed to make full-time jobs out of them, like I have and lots of other people, you know, even not in sex work or whatever. It's interesting what's going to happen when you give everyone a 3D camera in their homes.
Can you imagine?
You give everyone, well, yeah. So it's going to be like really interesting. Or, you know, awful, because I'm just hoping they hurry up so I'm not too old when I have to use a 3D camera, because I'm sure there's less editing on them.
They'll probably have some sort of 3D editor. I would imagine that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can keep our fingers crossed.
That's leading into another question. So, do you have like a regime that you like? Do you go to the gym? Do you like? How do you keep yourself together? Or is that even important? How do you feel about that?
Oh, at the moment, I mean, I had a winter where I was like, I've spent so long worrying about my weight and all that kind of stuff that I'm just going to eat as healthy as I can, not worry about it too much, and just sort of put it on the back burner. Because at the beginning, especially at the start, sort of, you know, I mentioned mental health, it sort of made me like, oh God, like I was not eating a lot and I was sort of drinking a lot and really sort of all over the place. And then I think I got to a place where I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to worry about not eating. I just want to eat, and I want to eat healthy. So sort of all over the place with that one. I think at the moment I'm just like, I will get to the gym at some point, but at the moment I'm just like, well, no, this is where I'm at.
You're just happy being you.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah. And sort of as I age, I'm sure I'll be like, shit, girl, you need to get to the gym. And then I'll do that, sort of reactively do that.
I've been waiting to go to the gym for a year, so.
Well, exactly. And it's one of them, you know. I mean, it wouldn't be me to be like this ultra muscly thing. So, you know, fair play to the guys that have got the stamina to do it. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not that girl.
Neither am I.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you're quite active. I think maybe because we were so active in our jobs, it's like now you're sort of in management, and obviously I'm not as active anymore. I think it's like, well, why would we if we don't have to?
That's so true. That is so true. I'm going to take advice from you any day.
Yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't, but
yeah. My next question, and we're getting towards the end, but my next question is, have you ever met any of your fans?
Yes, I have. I've met a few. It's always really weird, you know, like when you go out and people come up to you and they're like I said, I think at the beginning, like, you're that doctor. And I'm like, oh, how did you get that? But I'm like, definitely not. But yeah, no, it's, I met some guys at Pride last month or the month before.
Okay.
And they came up to me and it was like a group of older guys and they were just really friendly. And it was just so nice, like so nice to see, like, because when you're working behind a screen all the time, you almost forget these people are real people that you're connecting with. And it's really easy to forget that. So when you do get that time to connect with people that have subscribed or, you know, have been subscribers and you meet them, it's like, God, like, you're real people and you actually like my stuff. Like, why?
Has it always been positive feedback when you meet somebody?
I would say so, yeah, because do you know what? I think people have this really incorrect perception that OnlyFans creators are up themselves. OnlyFans creators only care about themselves. They don't give a fuck about anyone else. But which isn't true. We're just fucking people, but people just like stare at you like you're an alien sometimes. I think like you're this thing that like, you know, is like narcissistic and evil. And I think that's what people think of you. So that's fine. But like when people think that, I think they're almost scared of you. So they don't say anything horrible. They're just thinking it. And you can tell, you can feel them feeling it, but they would never say anything because they don't have the balls to. Which I kind of like. So it works. That stigma works in our favor, I think. They sort of stay away.
Yeah, that's a good thing. So talking about that, how has your work affected your personal life? So like dating.
Oh my God. So, well, this is another thing. So not only was I done with my job, I was done with dating when I decided to start. I had a really horrible relationship, really traumatic, horrible relationship that sort of ended up in court, and it was just a whole, mess. And I think I kind of accepted that I didn't want a relationship for a while. And that's sort of what opened my eyes to this journey, because I was like, well, I'm unhappy in my job. I've just been through that traumatic experience with my ex-partner. It makes this decision so much easier.
Sure.
So my dating life is not something I've really thought about. And because I just enjoy like hooking up with guys. I'm just a massive whore. For now, maybe one day when I'm like a retired girl, I will look at maybe getting into a relationship. But for now, I'm just like, no, I'm really good.
Good. So you're in a happy place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, much more than where I was, for sure.
Good. Have you been approached by porn companies, and would you do it?
I don't know if it really counts. I got approached by Pornhub, but I think they were just sort of scouting me to join and be a creator on their platform, which isn't, they're not, I don't think they're like porn production.
Adverts.
But no, I wouldn't consider it. And I haven't actually been approached. I think it's sort of, obvious the niche that I'm in. And I think they sort of guess maybe that I'm not into that.
Sure.
I did go to, I was nominated for a couple of like gay porn awards in like the European ones in Spain. And it was so funny because I was just like, I think this was like 8 months in or something. And I'm just like this little healthcare assistant that's like sexually like nowhere near as wild as some of these guys. And I sort of turned up and I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't belong here. Like, how did I get invited here? Like, this is wild.
Do you receive gifts from your fans?
I have done, yeah. I mean, sort of like anything you can sort of imagine, like all sorts of stuff, dildos, iPads, random stuff. Like,
so that's the next question. What's the craziest gift you've received?
Probably between like an Apple Watch Ultra and what else? And I don't know. That's probably the craziest because it's probably the most valuable.
Of course.
But yeah, like the others, a lot of them are the same, like underwear, dildos, lots of stuff like that. That's all really regular.
I guess you have to have like a post office box separate to where you live.
Yeah.
Is everything of really private?
Yeah, so we're really lucky, actually. We live in the middle of nowhere, and it's like the sort of place that even if you found my address, you wouldn't be able to find the house because it's sort of up like a 3-mile track, and it's like a needle in a haystack to determine which one's us. So yeah, which is brilliant.
What's the wildest request you've ever had?
Someone wanted to see me. Oh my God, so many. Someone wanted me to pretend that I have dislocatable body parts. And basically in this video, they wanted me to sort of describe myself as this person that can dislocate their body parts and act out how I would behave if that happened. So I had to sit there on video, essentially, pretend I just taken, say, my leg off, and like wave my leg, like pretend I'm waving my leg around, but really I just folded it up like to my knee. And then I was sat there on video like, oh my God, like that's so annoying. My legs just came off again. It like comes off all the time. And like, it was just the strangest thing. And then like, I went to the toilet, like on this video. I know I said I don't do custom requests, but in my time I have done them. That's how I got to know that I didn't like them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I I like walked to the toilet and like, I was like, oh my God, no, like my dick fell off. And then I was like, oh shit, I've accidentally just flushed it down the toilet. And it was just like, how is this even arousing? Like, this is just horrific. But it was just like, I don't know, just kind of funny. And then another one was like, which was kind of scary because I think it was like 2 a.m. Someone asked me to like pretend my eyes had rolled into the back of my head and like send them a picture so like it looked like I was fitting.
Oh my God.
And I was like, so I refunded him because I was like, I kind of don't want to encourage that because like, if this guy's collecting photos of people with their eyes all like that, then what is your motive? Like, is that encouraging you to go out and like, I don't know, do something to someone or, you just don't know what people's motives are. So that's what I mean when I sort of say you feel really responsible, and that's why it's off-putting, is because all these crazy requests.
That's
like
wild.
someone will probably, I'm waiting for this bloke to turn up and like chop my leg off or something because it's dislocatable, but for real. And I'm just like, oh God.
While you're having a fit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're like, tell me the craziest, and I'm telling you all like the scariest.
Well, thank you very much, James. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation, and I've been looking forward to it. And I love your positive outlook on it. And I just appreciate you being a guest.